call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mrs. Cox?
Here.
Mrs. Passio?
Here.
Mrs. Moore? Here. Mr. White?
Here.
Mrs. Kelly? Here. Mr. Root?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Bayshore?
Here.
And Mr. White.
Public notice of the meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. Posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 7, 2013. Emailed to the retrospect and carried post on January 7, 2013. I'd like to first welcome back Mr. Kennedy, our solicitor for many years. And reports, Joyce?
Yes, I'm sorry. We have the report of the construction official for the month of February. A total of $8,327 was collected in various fees and permits. Monies returned over to the treasurer. For the report of the police chief for the month of February, a total of $128.45 was collected for various accident discovery, solicitor reports, local requests, and firearm permits. All monies were returned over to the treasurer. For the report of the borough clerk for the month of February, a total of $3,320.77 was collected for various street opening permits, bingo, raffle licenses, and including dog and cat licenses. All monies were returned over to the treasurer. For the report of the registrar of vital statistics for the month of February, a total of $3,966 was collected for various death copies, marriage licenses, and marriage copies. All monies were returned over to the treasury. We have the report of the municipal court for the month of January, a total of $12,204.74 was collected, and all those fees returned over to the treasury. We have the report of the fire marshal for the month of January. A total of $1,104 was collected in fire fees. There were 75 inspections completed, 164 total incidents, and 3 special use permits issued. And emergency medical services billing, $25,021.48. For the month of February, we have a total of $2,127 for the month of February in fire fees. We have a total of 55 inspections completed, 126 total incidents, and 2 special use permits issued. And in EMS fees for the month was $20,518.66. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the tax collector for the month of February, a total of $2,625,548.57 was collected in taxes, and in sewer, $197,505.95. And that's all we have.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of minutes? Motion is in order for the approval of minutes of the January 29th, 2013 meeting and the February 5th, 2013 meetings as submitted by the clerk. Has each member received copies of the same? You know what? The January 29th, I don't think we're at that one, so do you want to, how about we split that real quick? We'll split that. We'll just do the January 29th. Do I have a motion on the January 29th meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You don't have to abstain, you abstain. Okay, and then the February 5th meeting, 2013. Got a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion. I second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Communications.
Yes, the first is from the Ramon family, thanking Mayor and Council for the flowers sent upon the death of the Blue Ramon. And the second is from Mary Igelson, the crossing guard, thanking Mayor and Council for the flowers sent during her recent recovery.
Do I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved. I
Second.
second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Public hearings.
Can we hold off to the public hearings until later on in the vacation? I'm trying to read something and I don't really know what it is that you're saying.
Okay, do you want to do both 1301 and 1302? We'll just push that back a little bit?
Push them back. Can you put us on for a second?
Okay, not a problem. Okay, we'll go to committee reports. Finance, Personnel, and Administration. It's my department. On this evening, we do have, one of the ordinances is changing the role of our code enforcement official, construction official, so that's on for second reading this evening. We will be changing the duties, if approved, of the code enforcement official. The budgeting process has started. We're starting to schedule committee meetings, start working on the budget. We have statutory requirements to try to get this done. By April, hopefully, we can get everything done. And I wanted to thank the freeholders came into the borough. They had their monthly meeting. They used the Harry Williams building, and it was nice to see them there. And one of the things I noticed that the freeholders do, and also the local school board does, and I wanted to bring it up to the council this evening, is hopefully starting next month, we will change our public portions of the meetings to allow for a second public portion of the meeting. When we have ordinances, we do allow the public to come up and speak, but on resolutions, typically they're already passed before the public has an opportunity to speak on those resolutions. So I'm going to make a recommendation that starting next month, we'll change our format and allow for a public portion for people to discuss, for the public to discuss on those resolutions only, if they have some discussion before we move on to our general meeting. And other than that, I'd like to report progress. Health, Education, and Welfare, Mr. White.
This weekend we have our free rabies clinic at the Harry Williams building from 10 in the morning to 12 noon. And I have where we'll be doing microchipping for $30. Want to get the gold microchip, it'll cost about $30. And the Women's Club is going to be taking collection for donations for the Animal Welfare Association. And last Wednesday night I attended a school board meeting, and that was pretty interesting. We were submitting their budget, staying on 2% this year, and they're getting ready to go into contract negotiations with the teachers. And other than that, progress.
Thank you. Public Safety. Mrs. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have bingo license 1303, the Knights of Columbus, 3532 Holy Child Parish, various dates during 2013. All paperwork is in order. We have raffle license 13-05, the basket auction, Runnemede PTA, for April 26th to 13th. All paperwork is in order, and I need a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Okay, so we're going to do both 13-03 and 13-04. We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
1305.
Oh, 1305. 1303 and 1305. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Bingo on the raffle.
I will continue on with my report. I did meet with Chief Diana on February 22nd, and we discussed the DARE program. Officer Burns and Officer Ward will be conducting the program in the 5th grades at Volks and St. Teresa's. During the Easter break, the police will be holding training sessions at the 4 schools in Runnemede with regard to the new lockdown procedures. Policy and Procedures Manual for crossing guards is being updated by Chief Diano, and the police department is in the process of purchasing 2 new police cars. The activity year to date, and I just received this in my mailbox, number of calls for service year to date 685. Year to date calls for service 1,430. Traffic summonses moving 196. Traffic summonses parking 18. Motor vehicle crashes 24. Arrests 88. Year-to-date arrests 229. So the first number, the 88, was for the month of February, and the 229 was for year-to-date. And year-to-date, hours of overtime 18. I then had a meeting on the 28th with Safety Coordinator Chief Liberty. As the Fund Commissioner for the Joint Insurance Fund, I have to review the safety procedures for the borough. He advised me that he meets with his committee on a quarterly basis, and the next meeting is March 28th, and I have been invited to go to that meeting. This commissioner and the safety coordinator will be attending the county awards breakfast on March 26th at the Scottish Rite. I also attended the MEL training session on risk management, and that evening, Mayor Calvadas, President Kapadas, Directors Moore, Passio, and group were attending. We get credit on our insurance policy for attending. The OEM office had their quarterly meeting, and I attended that. And the issues discussed were establishing snow emergency routes, creating the signage, and doing the notification for the residents. Other procedures during hurricanes or other events were discussed. The office has a new form to be completed if you're going to hold a parade or a marathon. And the county has established a special needs registry, and I do have flyers if you're interested in looking at that. So if you have a special need or someone that you know has a special need, you have to go online and be registered. And I do have the paperwork on that. Within the next month, a training session on EMS procedures will be given to all elected officials, and Chief Liberty will be doing that. That's my report, Mr. President.
Okay. Anything else for anyone? I do have one clarification. Mr. White did attend the training the day before all of us went. So all 7 members of the council, mayor and council did attend the training. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Rude. Oh, excuse me. My notes are so bad.
You keep forgetting the women.
The women on this side. Excuse me. Public events and engineering, Ms. Patsy.
Okay, on engineering, the colors for the bathrooms down in Green Acres have been ordered. Is that correct? That's correct. They have been ordered. The foundation and footings are in, and the cinder block is now going up. Production will continue as long as the weather permits. And then Mark, our engineer, will elaborate, and he will give a report on both Orchard and Reed Avenue. As for public events, I met with Rich Wright. We went over the budget for the public events, and I will be meeting this week with my committee to discuss our plans for future events. As senior liaison, I went to the senior meeting, and the seniors are giving $200 towards a digital sign that the Friends of the Library are fundraising for. The Green Team, Monday's Movie Monday, and that's the 11th, and that's at 6:30 p.m. So come out and join us. It's free. I'll have to say get popcorn out. You do enjoy it. The meetings, the movie's going to be about an hour. Clean Communities is sponsoring a Hirschland cleanup on Saturday, March 16th from 10 to 2. We will meet at the Runnemede Scout Building on Shepherd Avenue. Water and lunch will be provided along with your trash bags, rakes, work gloves, and there's 3 mini grants that will be given to 3 groups who apply. And that is Volts Environmental, Runnemede Scouting Committee, and Education Foundation. You can earn up to $500 per cleanup, but you're only allowed 1 cleanup a year. So there are guidelines you must meet, and it's open to nonprofit organizations. You can fill out an application. So please come out to our cleanup. Everyone is invited, and we want to make Hirsch Lake shine again. So this concludes my report.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Parks and Recreation, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks and Recreation, along with the Public Works, Engineering, and the Clean Committee, as Pat just said, we met at the lake for the cleanup of Hirsch Lake on March 16th. We were working with Public Works. We'll be preparing the area for volunteers to be more productive and work safe. Parks and Recreation also met with Mark Bayshore from Bach Associates at the RYAA to go over possible long and short-term changes of the property, short-term handicap accessibility, meeting ADA, player safety, sidewalks, dumpsters, location, long-term reconfiguration of fields, and building renovations. Park and Recreation is preparing to finalize prices for equipment for the fields at Green Acres, so we can get those fields ready for next season. The rest is progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Ms. Moore. No.
Okay, hi. I'm going to report on Public Works. Also, I want to just add a little bit for the library board, since I'm on the library board also. There are lots of up-and-coming projects, so we're going to beat the March 16th cleanup of Hershey's Lake one more time. The guys from Public Works will be down there prior to the cleanup to try to remove any type of debris. There seems to be some piles. This is off the back end of Shepherd. That seems to be the area that we're going to address. They're going to try to remove, there's some concrete that's been dumped back there. We're going to try to take all that down to make the area a little more friendly, and they are also going to fix the gate there to eliminate anybody with any kind of ATV or anything like that being able to get through. We also got a suggestion from one of the Public Works employees, from J.D. Dalius. He suggested that while we are there, he would like to see us cut back some of the lower hanging branches around the lake on the one side. He is a big fisherman and he fishes there with his daughter, and he feels that it would make it more welcoming for the residents overall, as well, just making it more fishing friendly. He says there's no area to cast. So he's been willing to volunteer his time to go down there and help get that cleaned up. So I'm very much encouraging that. I'm happy to report that we have had only five street signs put up along the Blackbird Pike for the numbered streets that did not have signs. So we do have a continuing stack of them. It's just getting the logistics together of getting them out there and getting the poles placed. We did paint an office at the Borough Hall, and we have many, many painting projects. We are actively trying to get the dugouts and the kick wall painted prior to opening day. That would be a big plus to make that area look nice for the RY, and it just looks better for Runnemede overall. We are looking into lots of things, lots of quotes, lots of projects in the works. We're looking into getting the fence replaced outside the Borough Hall as one of the projects, the lights placed on the poles, and now we have 2 poles that are an issue down at the RY. Getting some dirt for the softball fields for the girls. There's just an endless list of projects once the weather gets better. Vehicle and maintenance for the vehicle and equipment maintenance for the Public Works is continuing, and we're getting things prepared for spring so that we won't have any glitches and we can just kind of move forward with that. And I'm also happy to report that we did get to order 4 sets of recycling and garbage cans. That has been an ongoing project for many months with the green team worked together with Clean Communities, and we've got them ordered. And I don't have an expected date, but it should be hopefully within the next couple of weeks, if at the most. But they have definitely been ordered. They're going to be in the area around Harry Williams as well as the RY. And we are putting up no smoking signs that were ordered for the area around the Harry Williams and the RY. Since the borough has a no smoking ordinance in place, this is just going to help to enforce it in the areas that seem to have issue. So that's for Public Works, all the progress. The library board, they have a meeting every month. The last meeting was on February 12th. The Friends of the Library were honored at the freeholders meeting with a nice plaque and for just the work that they do to support the library. So they did get an award for that. Dr. Seuss, they had a Dr. Seuss party that was hosted by the Friends of the Library. It was a great success. They raised $280 towards the electronic sign, so the total right now that was raised is $680 of $14,000. But the library is fiscally sound. Things are moving forward. The e-book program is moving forward there. And I truly, as I said in the last meeting, I encourage anybody that's a resident to take advantage of the library. They have a lot to offer, and they are continuing to grow and continuing to update to make it a very progressive place to go. So I'll report for progress on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Administrator's report, Mr. Wright. Morning, First Caucus. Okay, Solicitor.
Thank you. I too will rely on the report that was submitted at the
And engineer's report.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to take the easy way out.
No.
Since the last caucus, a few things have happened. We were able to get the plans for this building and working on the ADA accessibility to the second floor here. We're also moving forward with looking into the emergency generator at this building. 2 items that are affecting tonight's agenda. One is the CDB applications are due, so you have resolution 13-49 And I did reach out to Beth Pugh from CDBG, and she is saying we can apply that to last year's project. So that's what we're recommending if that council wants to move forward with that. The second that affects the agenda is unfortunately not on the agenda. We did talk about it at the caucus meeting, is that open space applications are due. So we should have a resolution to authorize that to submit. And we talked about getting the soccer nets, bleachers, team benches, and bike racks out at Beaver Branch Park. The Reed Avenue and Orchard Avenue projects are both under construction. We anticipate on going out to bid in March or early April, so we can go out to construction in May. And something not in the summary that I gave to you is at the request of the Public Safety Committee, we did submit the letter to Chief Diana regarding the handicap parking request on Orchard Avenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that concludes my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Just a quick question,
Yes.
because there were some concerns about the open space recreation grant from the county. Is there a time frame on how long we can, is it 12 months or 18 months? We're putting this as part of our continuation of the Beaver Branch Park improvements. So there's some concerns that we don't want to spend the money too quickly. Is there a timeline on that?
They don't like you to stack them up year after year.
So within 12 months?
Yes.
Okay. I think, because I think there was concerns about purchasing the stuff before the field's ready. I want to just clarify with everybody that there's a 12-month window for us to get this stuff. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, old business none, new business?
We have resolution 1338.
What?
Resolution 1338 is a resolution authorizing change of property class for 2 blocks and lots. These were inadvertently changed back to the wrong class during the reassessment.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Popos?
Yes.
Mrs. Casio?
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes.
That's 6 ayes.
Motion's passed. Resolution 1339?
This is a resolution approving a shared services agreement with the Borough of Runnemede and Magnolia for the mechanical repairs and maintenance of municipal vehicles and equipment.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? Does anybody have any questions on this one? This is the same contractor was working for Woodbury Heights, now Magnolia. Okay, roll call?
Mr. Popos?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Casio?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes.
6 ayes.
The motion passed. Okay, Resolution 1340?
This is a resolution urging the governor to support the expansion of New Jersey's Medicaid program as provided under the Federal Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. This is kind of a moot point because he did do it.
You did do
But
it?
he did, yes, he did. He expanded it, he signed it.
I don't-
So, but anyway, I don't know if you want to throw your support behind it.
Okay, we have a motion?
I make a motion. I'll second it.
It's an all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're supporting something that's already done.
Well, we only have a few days.
Okay, 1341.
This is a resolution authorizing a 6-month extension of the contract with various vendors for bid A33, 2012, for the purchase of copy and computer paper and envelopes between Camden County and the between Camden County under the Camden Cooperative Pricing System. This is our co-op that we do a lot of purchasing.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. I second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Pasio?
Yes.
And Mr. Reed?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Resolution 1342?
This is a resolution authorizing the Runnemede VFW 3324 to conduct a coin toss on County and Borough streets.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
I don't think we need a roll call for that.
No?
Do we, Jack? That's not.
No, we're not doing
that's
anything.
not-
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passed. Resolution 1343.
This is a resolution regulating the salaries of the employees of the Borough of Runnemede for the year 2013. This is returning the assessor to his prior reassessment salary.
Do I have a motion?
Make motion.
I second it.
Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
And Mr. Capadas?
Yes. Resolution 1344.
This is a resolution refunding a subsequent sewer payment to various lien holders.
Do I have a motion?
So move. I second it.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Capadas?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Resolution 1348.
This is a resolution authorizing the Runnemede Fire Company, number 1, to conduct a coin toss on County and Borough streets. There are various dates for this.
Do I have a motion?
I second it.
Okay. Roll call? Oh, that's his motion. Why? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 1349.
This is a resolution authorizing mayor and the township clerk to sign the project description form for program year 35, 13 to 14, community development block grant, and this is for the resurfacing of East 3rd and East 2nd Avenue.
This is the CDBG money we were just speaking about. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any discussion of this bit? Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Capadas?
Yes.
That's 6 ayes.
Resolution 1350.
This is a resolution reaffirming that the Borough of Runnemede will provide the fire company with a 100 kilowatt generator to be used as a backup in an emergency situation.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Capadas?
Yes.
White.
Resolution 1351.
This is a resolution authorizing an interlocal services agreement by and between the Borough of Runnemede and the County of Camden in conjunction with the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. This is the alliance. This came in, whatever the night was that you stopped in the office.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So move. I second it.
Is this roll call or is this? Roll call? No?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
money, good, right? Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Capadas?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Motion passes. We're going to add the one that Mr. Bayshore said, 1352, the open space.
We're just authorizing application, correct, Mark?
Correct.
Authorizing application for the open space grant.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make. Second.
Application, roll call?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mr. Capadas?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes.
That's 6 ayes.
Motion passes. You want to go back to those ordinances?
Yes, and we're gonna have to hold off on one. Apparently, I just received these, the copies today, and, one of them, for some reason, they did not put the date in for the public hearing on 1302. So we're gonna have to hold off and I'll have to call the earlier. And hopefully, it wasn't my mistake, it was their mistake. So we'll have to re-advertise 1302. So we can hold a public hearing for 1301.
That was the Civic Association, right? Okay. So ordinance 1301.
Motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law.
We need to open the public, okay. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing no one? Do I have a motion to close the public portion?
So move. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Do I have a motion for this ordinance, 13-01? Does anybody have any questions on 13-01?
I do, Mr. President.
Yes.
What did, last time I thought we talked about it, did we come up with a solution for it? The erosion?
You're talking about the problem, yes, there was a clarification. Jack, do you agree with this?
Yes, the revisions that were made, specifically, the whereas was changed to say that it was amending certain provisions of the municipal code, not the entire municipal code, and then,
Is that those two chapters, 281,
yes,
395?
395. And then there was,
Because all we're doing is plugging the zoning officer, but it's a construction code official.
right, and this, the revisions that were made to this makes it specific that you're only changing these two paragraphs of the ordinance, not the entire. Because it was a little vague, apparently, the way it was written last time.
It sounded like we were changing it in the entire code.
Right.
Not just two paragraphs. Okay. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I second that motion.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
And Mr. Capani.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, we're skipping 1302. And we're jumping to back page 1303.
The taxi cab service.
Oh, the taxi cabs, I'm sorry, they're in between there, okay. Request approval of 3 taxi cab licenses for Suburban Cab Company. All paperwork is in order. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
And Mr. Capani.
Yes.
6 ayes.
First reading, ordinance 13-03.
This is an ordinance amending the salary ordinance for 2013.
Motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law with public hearing to be held on the second day of April 2013 at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m. This is the ordinance I spoke about earlier. This is creating the code enforcement official to become our zoning official also.
On the question on the rate of pay, you go from $12,000 to $32,000.
It's in between. The idea is this is an hourly pay, so it can't exceed that amount. That's why there's a range, because it's hourly. There'll be certain weeks it won't be as many hours. We have started to work on the exact hours that the office will be open for zoning, for the zoning officer. I mean, the first intention is to increase the code enforcement by 10 hours, and then also add the zoning hours.
So he's doing 20 hours a week now, 30,
Up to 20 hours.
up to 20.
Yeah. Now we're going to go to up to 30 hours.
So he'll be doing 10 hours a week on.
Either code enforcement or additional zoning. Mr. Knight is here, if you'd like to speak to him.
I know this one very well.
Yes. Yeah. I think that, just to speak on Mr. Knight's behalf, I've been now part of the planning board, and I think the planning board, they appreciate Mr. Knight's appearances there. He testifies for them. He's been very proactive on the zoning ordinances, even though it's not his job right now. He's been helpful with that, especially with code enforcement. I think everybody from the police department and the court appreciates what he does. I think it's been clear that this has been a necessity to give him more hours. You recall that 20 hours just wasn't enough to get some of the stuff done. The reason we're only going up to 30 hours is because of the fact that we're maintaining him as a part-time employee. Is there any other discussion or questions? Okay, we'll have a motion.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
roll call?
Who did the second?
Mr. Root?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Kapadas?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Motion passes, okay. Payment of bills? I have a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Mr. President, I move that we pay the monthly bills. I'll second that.
On the payment bill, that
Yes.
one question.
Sure.
For the month of January, for the, came in here for $1,000 for management of the gym.
That was an agreement that we had with the library board. The library board was doing that for us, if you recall, for the first, last year, remember, from September to December. And because we didn't have, we couldn't come with an agreement to maintain that relationship, the agreement was that because we did come to an agreement, that agreement kept in force. So Mr. Wright and myself, you know, that's why we're passing on, is to get them to the point where they stop, and then it's been taken over by volunteers at this point. And the Public Works Department, and the Police Department as well. Anything else? Okay. Do we have a motion in a second? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Kapadas?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Okay, good and welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Marie Panzarella, 12 South Oakland Avenue. I want to first thank whoever was responsible for the big bush being removed on North Oakland and Clements Bridge Road. Makes a huge difference when you're coming from North Oakland, crossing over Clements Bridge Road, and you can actually look to the left and see the traffic coming down. I will question, however, why the bush, an even bigger problem, as far as I'm concerned, at Reed and Clements Bridge has not been removed. I believe it's Mr. Elzordo's property. If you're on South Reed and you need to make that right, you cannot see. And my son was involved in a near fatal car accident at that corner, so I question why that's still there.
Yeah. Want me to address it? Well, I'll address, our code enforcement official handles the line of sight problems.
It was awesome.
And since, as you can see, we're giving him the ability to do more work.
Okay.
He's also been given a memorandum at this point, Mr. Wright, is that correct? Has he received that memorandum? It's not received. We have a memorandum that is going out that means that all properties in the Borough of Runnemede will be treated the same, equally.
Okay.
So regardless of who owns the property from the Borough of Runnemede down, we will all be responsible to maintain our properties.
Okay.
I'll address, the other issue is being addressed.
Okay.
That the guy on the corner of Oakland just was a little quicker on the
Much. It's about an hour and it was gone.
He was just a little faster on the draw, but the other is, as a matter of fact, on each side of Reed, coming out of, I guess, west, heading from West Reed, I guess, coming down, as well as coming across, both of those bushes on the corners are being addressed.
Awesome, thank you. After consideration, the RYAA has decided not to conduct or make application to conduct the parade on the Blackhurst Pike for the sole purpose of time at this point. Not only with the application to the state, but our own organization and just, you know, all of the baseball coaches, all of the soccer coaches trying to get word out to the parents and make it happen in a month's time. It just isn't feasible. So I will be in communication with the police department to go our normal route for the last few years, which is from Bolts up to, we take Hirsch to Smith and Smith up to the fields. It's just, it would be much easier for us. And then we would like to make application next year, if possible, because we would have, you know, proper time for planning. On that note, I would like to formally invite all of the council members, as well as the mayor, if someone could pass it along, giving her enough time. Our opening day ceremonies are expected to kick off at 11 a.m. on April 13th. We'll actually start marching from Bolts at 10, and it takes about an hour given everybody that we have to get there. So we do invite you to come and attend that.
Thank you.
I have a question. I stayed for the whole freeholders meeting. Where does that $38,000 that they presented you guys go? Is that part of, like, is that?
Community block grant, would you like to at least address that to make it clear what the community block grant is? Now, that was a previous year amount, at 38.
So you already haven't spent it, or?
That was last year's.
I don't know what was handed out.
There was a
big check.
Every year they get.
That was
Literally.
38,200.
Yeah.
The borough
Yeah,
gets, the borough gets approximately $38,000 to do improvements. It can either help the elderly, disabled, or it can be used in certain areas of the town. Most of this area is east of Black Horse Pike and north of Clemens Bridge Road, and that has to do with census. So that has to be used for that. So tonight they designated that was going to be applied to East 2nd and East 3rd, and those improvements are within the census tract that it's allowed to be used for.
And that money comes from the federal government, and it's managed by the county. It comes down to us. The amount has been dropping every year. And just to let you know why we did the 33,000 we applied it to last year's project, because they only gave us 1 week's notice. They originally had told the borough that they were not going to give the money to us. They were going to do on a 3-year rotation, so that we would get $100,000 every 3 years, instead of a smaller amount every year. And then they changed their mind at the last minute and sent us an application that said it had to be done by tonight, basically.
Is there any, I know at the reorg meeting that Ginny Betteridge was appointed to the Municipal Alliance. Is there any progress on that? Because they were also one of our sponsors.
Well, the last year's grant is already done, so that takes care of 2013. Mrs. Betteridge will be doing the 2014 grant. You want to say a little bit more of that? She's still coordinating this year, so you should be able to reach out to her.
Oh, okay.
But it's the same, it's the plan that was established last year that's being done this year. You're 1 year behind on those municipal.
Yeah, it actually helped because we applied it to children at risk, which is helpful in our situation because there's children who obviously can't afford, and in that case, they are considered at risk for us. So it helped.
Yeah, that was part of last year's plan.
Well, we haven't gotten it in 2 years.
2000.
We haven't. We went 2 complete years without getting it. So
We can look into it.
I submitted, but I was told that
It's last year's plan, 2013.
okay, great, absolutely, because I have bills for as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else, do I have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
I make a motion to close. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public portion is closed. Adjournment? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Is there a second? Okay, all in favor? All right, meeting adjourned.